Out. Thank you so much, everybody. This is Ms. Edith Hirsch, Louis Hirsch's mom, and she's graciously agreed to be interviewed today about CAWC. And the wonderful bonus is she is an amazing 100 years old, our oldest supporter of the agency. And so, Edith, I know one of the first questions I want
to support it.
Yeah.
Don't pull that one on anyone.
Yes.
She'll pay. She's old.
One of the first questions I want to ask you is just, can you talk about your connection to CAWC?
Well, mostly it's Lou.
Mm-hmm.
It's Louis. But through the years, not as a member, or not as a one of its, how would we say it, people who come and need your help. Not as one of those, thank goodness, to any degrees. Sometimes I punch my husband. But they say now that there are some women that are as difficult as men are. Is that true?
I think for the most part, it's more so the men that are mostly abusive. I mean, there are some instances where there are female victims of domestic violence, but it's the evidence shows that it's more male perpetrators versus female.
Because words, I think, can be very destructive and violent in themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. What does it mean to have a son, Louis, who has chosen this field of domestic violence to work for? I mean, he's been there for 25 years. You must be very proud of him.
Well, I'm proud of him because he's Louis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes.
So he's very dear to me, and as far as his work is concerned, I'm proud of that too, because he chose, rather than some fields in which I hoped he would take in the beginning, in like law or something like that. No, this is what he wanted to do, and when he was chosen, he was pleased, and anything that pleases him mostly pleases me.
That sounds great. And Louis does an amazing job of helping to keep our organization in good financial health. Other than Louis working there, why do you think it's important to support CAWC and domestic violence services?
I think it's wonderful to support a cause that is like this, because for one thing, when children see domestic violence, they may grow up into it too. And the other one is that the more we learn about the world, the better, and the more we find peace ways to settle if there are some differences between husband and wife, or whatever there is now, maybe singles or gay people or partners of any kind.
Mm-hmm.
That I think it's very, very important that it's there, and for the children's sake particularly. And I don't know, abusive violence that has been historic, I think. It's not something new. And we ought to, by now, have learned using different ways of finding peace than guns or punching or whatever. But I think now it's even more dangerous because when guns are available, rather than punch you in the nose, they'll shoot.
Exactly. That's great. I totally agree. My last question, I think, for you is kind of off the topic of CAWC, but what is your secret to living 100 years old?
Well, I'll be very honest with you. The calendar, to me, tells a story. But the person gets up every day, looks outside, tries to figure out what he can wear or what the day is going to be like, or who he has to meet or not meet or whatever. And that's the way your day is. It's only when you look at the calendar that it says something. It's not you.
Wow. So it sounds like having purpose.
Yeah, you learn everything, through the day, and hopefully your next day will be full of some of the things you learned from the day before. They'll be good.
That's awesome advice for everybody watching this video. And so, Miss Edith, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be in this video. Is there anything else you'd like to say to those that may be watching about domestic violence or about anything?
Well, there ought to be a better way for all of us to get along in this world. That whether it's a choice of words or whether it's a choice of your friendship, your companions, your daily living, and what you choose to do. And it would be nice if money wasn't the very bottom of this, but it seems like it has a pretty important part. You're not going to get vegetables at Jewel's if you don't have the quarter or the dollar that you need.
Exactly.
Or any other. You don't have to mention the name of the store.
Sure.
There's so many Marianos or anybody.
Exactly. All right. Well, thank you so much. And we are going to wrap with that.